Hello everybody. My name is Marius Indrestrand and I'm an employee of Støren Treindustri. We are a Norwegian firm located just outside Trondheim in the middle of Norway. We have a factory where we use Wayman for external and internal walls. We use it also for floors. We have 300 machines that produce all the core pieces. We also have ArchiFrame supported machinery like the Swedish Randak and Italian Strumab, which we use for pre-cutted airstrips and cladding pieces. Our first contact with ArchiFrame, or with now called Nordic Beam Group, was approximately 2 years ago. We did then test the house with the horizontal cladding and then did a vertical cladding house before we jumped on to our third test project, which was probably a little big. But since this was without cladding, we found out that we could test this since we have some automation regarding the saw cuts for every window. But since we delivered this one without the cladding, we found this suitable to test both hot linking and ArchiCAD teamwork. So this is a colleague of mine doing all the walls. Trusses are of course done in Pamir, but I did also most of the flooring elements with ArchiFrame based off the teamwork server. So Petteri has asked me to show a little bit on how we work at Støren Treindustri, and I will do that. I have found some random plan drawing on the internet. I have done some architectural modeling of this. We have external walls, we have load-bearing walls, and the red walls are non-load-bearing. These are supposed to be the sound and fireproofing between the apartments. So when doing ArchiFrame, I will just turn off this, and we have some preset settings that I've already made. Where you can see here, I have edges, I have openings, I have also lifted it 36 millimeters. I change this to core and reference line, and then I just start adding elements. When these are done, I can go to these settings, which shows all the elements. Before even making or generating the elements, we can adjust the corners. This is a nice feature I really like about ArchiFrame, where you can code your own corners. Since I have pre-coded all the corners for us, I will just add this one. As you can see, all the elements are adjusted accordingly. Now that every corner is set, we have an internal corner. You can also add this. Or maybe this should be short. Now, you can just select everything and generate. And the machine will think a little bit about this. So now we have generated all the elements. I could go and change a little element settings. And now we have our ArchiFrame elements generated with the connecting corners like the one I have presetted. One of the nice features with ArchiFrame is when the automation or the preset corners doesn't work. This wall is divided because this is the maximum length that we can produce. You could, of course, just make a standard corner for this, but since the offsets for windows are different, at least only the core and maybe the plate or the airstrip layer should be coded. But with ArchiFrame you can easily just adjust those pieces that doesn't function. Like we could remove all the unwanted pieces. We could adjust this one. I want this one to be a 98. This is almost what we produce. Of course, this should be exploded. Probably this piece will go there, and about something like this will probably our production. So the pieces around this window must be done at the construction site, but then at least we will have all this cladding produced in the factory. Of course, you have load-bearing walls, and sometimes the automation doesn't quite get you what you want. We can like add load bearing for this one. For example, these pieces we at Støren at least would like to connect. There are several ArchiFrame functions that is easily accessed by the menus, or you can even script most of them. So for one instance, one of our tailored settings that Pederi has made for us is the socket script. And we have a socket script that defines sockets based on the openings. We can actually add sockets, and we are able to produce this in our Wayman. Of course, for actually this wall, it would be best if this one is adjusted and those two pieces are manually made in the factory so they can be added on the construction site. Another nice tailoring that we have had Pederi fix for us is the nailing script, with the possibility to add nailing with scripts. This is some tailoring that has been done. We have for horizontal cladding. We don't want our first one to have nails, nor the two top of the windows, since those are manually done, or we need this for our production. ArchiFrame gives us possibility to change the side pieces for window. We use another dimension than the standard ones for the air strips. Overall, everything else. Other nice features of ArchiFrame is that you can take one standard, or at least one working script, and you can adjust it a little bit. We have done this with the sound walls. You could add a sound or apartment wall for these two. We have adjusted the top and bottom bulk to suit our needs. We use a 23 by 98 instead of a big bulk. So show this in 3D. When we deliver these type of walls, we need this and this top bottom for nailings on the construction site. So, well, I should probably do this and regenerate it. Now it's better. As you can see, this script is made of, I could actually just change this to English, probably most people would understand. It's bottom bulk. By changing these settings, we could use it for another purpose that it's mainly supposed to do. We'll also add the edges settings for this one and recreate the boarding. Another nice feature of ArchiFrame is that you can now select multiple walls. It's mainly important for walls like this. So if we just hide all the other layers, you can now select everything. You can add nailings, and the nailing will only be done to connecting elements. So this plate won't nail the beam in this wall. This is a really good feature, so you can add nailing to the whole project in one go. Also, if the nailings are too much, you can easily just go through the model or every wall and decide that you want to remove some of the nailings. And of course, you will be needing to adding nailing to different types of board, or if you have different type of nailings like we do, So we should also be doing some interior walls. And with ArchiFrame, you can easily double up studs. You can work in 3D. This is, here we have some troubles. This have gotten the offsets from the plates. It's an easy fix. You can of course just remove the offset and recreate the element. If you go to the element object, you can adjust it down. You can set this to 0. If you do this on all these elements, then recreate it, they will be fixed. So also in 3D, it's easy to just double or triple a stud if needed. And of course, we hide all the layers. We can now go and explode all the cladding pieces. This done. Could be also adding, sorry for the Norwegian here. It's easier. Then we can add nailings. Here it's also possible to add nailings to several elements at the same time. You don't need to do this one by one. Now all the cladding nailings are done. We can go and this one wasn't correctly. Recreate this one. So if I just show you all the construction now, we have insulation, we have cladded, we have nailings for boarding, we have this one adjusted. Of course, there will be some manual adjustment needed, but if you say this is finished, we can go ahead and duplicate this one. So by just selecting all the elements, it's possible to use standard ArchiCAD mirror and copy. So after mirroring and copying, you will then have a mirrored copy of the same, even with nailings and everything. So if you are mass producing, this is a very nice feature that could be used. So regarding the SawCut script and the 2D, of course this one doesn't have an elemental drawing yet, since it's only the 3D pieces. So you have to update it, and then it will get an elemental drawing. And it won't be linked, so if you mirror a copy, you can also mirror a copy of the walls and then relink it. if you want the weight from the windows. You then go up to the element drawing. Everything is perfect without the actual sockets. So you can create a new socket, or you could actually copy from the other one. So for corners that are close by, it's a nice trick to remember is that you can use pick connecting to ensure that you have the right connecting corner when you are applying one. So our corners for this type is made up of the external and one internal. And when they are so close together, sometimes it finds the wrong one and the wall gets all crazy. But by picking the connecting one, you will be able to force ArchiFrame to use this one. Of course, I do believe if you follow the tutorial on YouTube, you can actually make the two external walls, make them connect to each other, and then just having the internal walls connected to do each side, I believe. And then you can actually make maybe all these 4 in one go. I haven't tested that yet, but I have a theory. But at least you can pick the right connecting if you know which one it is and apply this. See that this one doesn't have the right 48 by 98 stud, but it has the correct air strips. And by using corners, you can also add different type of planks instead of just dragging the element. You will be able to have different sizes or even adding several pieces. So yeah, this is kind of our way to model ArchiFrame walls. So let's be making some floors. I do believe we have to have this on, and I will be creating those negative y direction. So can create all just to see everything before we have to do the adjustments. Probably go off wall and do some these are of course more than our maximum length for this type, and it would not be possible to produce, but for this it's okay. Probably possible to script or adjust with some Lua settings, but for now we will be just deleting the unwanted pieces. And if you can see the numbering, it starts with 1 and we have it so this piece has a full length, but this element won't have a beam, for the plate on the construction site is on the same place. And I also did this upside down or whatever, because if we export it to the WUP file, we would like this one, since this is the 0, 0 on XY in the WUP. So we have to think about that also when we produce the PDF file or print this one, it's the same way as the WOOP file. So we constantly do this. If we start with the production from this side and goes the negative X value, we have to set this as the bottom and this as the top. This is just, at least for us, but so let's say we have the need for a bathroom. Could also use adding that. Change this to 75. I do believe it was there. Floor plan. Okay, it's also the other pieces. Add this and this piece also. So what we do for cutting, pick the polygon, cut. Even if these are different elements, we can move this down, let's say 23. I like to change actually this to some glass, not blue maybe, but clear, so we can see through it. If we now do this as operators, we'll actually make a groove, probably 0. Right. Now we have a groove for the bathroom. Of course, you would probably need to maybe add some extra pieces of framing because of the concrete. These are also exceptional settings with ArchiFrame. You can also do this in 3D. Have the architectural model, and you have a grooved bathroom floor at least. Okay, so what I can see that my time is running out. So let's just add some of the nice new features of ArchiFrame is to add drillings to the actual floor elements. If I just divide this in 4, I would want one there and one there. This one. Okay, I need to select this board, and I want maybe in this and this stud. And then you have a nice new feature with element drilling tools. You can change the drill diameter and from the studs. This is for us. You can add this again. Add those there. You could be selecting multiple boards and joists or beams, of course. And you will have in the center of the beam and on each side. So if you add all the leather, selecting these in the floor plan, showing all layers, let's say this one and this one and this one and this one. You will be able to add elemental drilling holes on each line, and it handles different elements perfectly. Be adding one on this line. This script could possibly be fixed to have a repeater, but this is quite nice when you need lifting drill holes. And if there are several beams, you just need to select them and they will actually make holes in both.